Hello, Henry from Belgium here. Today I show you LEGO set 6376, Breezeway Café from 1990. This set is also known as the Italian Restaurant. It was re-released in 2002 as set 10037 under the LEGO Legends line, with the same build and in practice the same parts. That means that once built, there is no real difference between the two versions. And that is exactly what makes this find important. The only way to tell that this is the original 1990 release is through the box and the manual. It took me quite a long time to find this set complete, and especially with the correct box and instructions. I did not want to pay a high price for just any copy online. I found this one at a flea market, and in that situation, you sometimes have to accept a slightly weaker condition, like here. The condition is not perfect, but certainly still very respectable for its age. The box shows some light wear, but it is complete and still includes the original light grey inner tray, which is a big plus. On the back of the box, you can see several alternative models, which was typical for town sets from that time. Most of them are quite similar, but one really stands out to me. This one here, which looks like some kind of aquarium. The set belongs to the town theme, under shops and services, and consists of 183 parts and 5 minifigures. A quick look through the instructions immediately shows that this is not a large or complex build. The focus here is clearly on accessibility and play. What stands out right away, however, is the atmosphere the set creates. The design, colors, and layout come together to form a lively scene, with plenty of room to imagine different situations and stories. The first thing that stands out are the large windows. They appear here for the first time in 1990, and later return in only a small number of other sets in this trans-clear version. What really makes them iconic are the stickers, because those are unique to this set. As a collector, once you see them, you immediately know where they come from. This 6x24 plate isn't a common part either, although white is actually the least valuable color. The black version, used only in Lagoon lockup, can easily go for around €7, while the light grey version, found mainly in classic train sets, is also very sought after, and still quite expensive when you find clean examples without discoloration. The set also includes several 1x1x5 and 1x2x5 bricks, parts that were still fairly new at the time. They take away a bit of the building experience because they replace smaller bricks you would otherwise stack yourself. On the other hand, they give the model a cleaner appearance, with fewer visible seams. A nice comparison is with the 1x3x5 brick. That part had already appeared much earlier, in set 231 Hospital from 1978, where you can find no fewer than 12 of them. After that, it took more than 10 years before it returned here, and in just a few other sets from this period, so it still remains a part you do not see very often. There are 5 minifigures included, which is quite a lot for a set with only 183 parts. That already tells you something about the intention. This set is designed to create a lively scene rather than a complex build. What immediately stands out is that all 5 figures still have the classic smiley face. That is quite interesting, because LEGO had already introduced more detailed facial expressions with pirates in 1989. But the broader rollout across multiple themes, and especially within town, only really follows around 1992. In that sense, it makes perfect sense that this set still fully sticks to the classic style. Personally, I am not a big fan of overly busy face prints with eyebrows and exaggerated expressions, although I would not have minded a subtle mustache for the waiter. What also works very well is the variation within the group. You have both staff and customers, which immediately makes the set feel more believable. The torso prints are simple but well chosen and fit perfectly within the theme, and importantly, everything is printed directly without the use of stickers, which is always better for long-term durability. The female minifigure is also worth mentioning, especially her torso, which appears in only a limited number of sets and is therefore quite sought after. The same goes for the red hairpiece. which is also not something you come across very often. In the end, it is the combination of 5 figures, a few more distinctive elements, and how well they fit the overall theme that really gives this set its character. I begin with a 16 by 32 base plate, a very common one. In general, with sets and buildings on a base plate of this size, I often feel that it can be just a little too small, with everything packed tightly together. But from what I already see in the instructions, that does not seem too bad here. The build starts with the larger elements, so you get visible progress quite quickly. When I said earlier that there is no real difference between the original release and the re-release, I meant in terms of the finished model as it appears from the outside. Of course, there can still be small differences in the molds used in those different periods. Here, for example, these particular bricks have hollow studs, and there are probably more details like that. If you really want to make each set historically correct, Bricklink is a very useful tool to check those things in detail. The first thing I do is set up part of the interior. There is a stove, complete with burners and a pan with meat. I also noticed that I used a trans-clear red tile here instead of a regular red one. But that kind of distinction is not always easy to see in the instructions. The entrance area will remain fairly empty, although a plant is added there. For that, LEGO uses the familiar green flower stem elements. Something I had honestly never really thought about before is that you can stack 2 of them on top of each other to create a taller plant, and that is also shown clearly in the instructions. One important detail here is that the flowers do have a top and a bottom. You really need to attach them all in the same direction on the stems. That way, you get more depth and a better visual contrast instead of showing the flat underside. Besides the classic windows, this set also includes 2 of these. In this trans-clear version, you do not see them very often, and here they really add value to the look of the model. They immediately give the entrance area a slightly more modern and futuristic appearance, which works well for a stylish restaurant, and they also connect nicely with the larger ones that I will use later. The stickers on them seem to have the correct design, but not the correct length, so that is something I will probably have to replace later. In the kitchen area, I add a counter using the correct wall panels with closed studs, with a few decorative elements on top, and that already completes the entire ground floor. One thing I do find very positive is the use of corner plates. It's structurally well thought out because it allows for an extra extension and a connection to the outside later on. Even though there does not seem to be that much to build at first glance, I actually find the building experience quite enjoyable. It is the process of working with LEGO, following a clear plan, and seeing everything come together step by step, which I always like. On the second floor, the focus shifts more towards decoration, with more 1x1x5 bricks combined with arch elements. Here again, the use of corner plates is a strong structural choice, as it allows plant elements to be integrated neatly under the roof. What is interesting here is that the modified 1x14 brick with channel is used, even though that channel has no real function in this set. The simple reason is that there is no regular 1x14 brick, so this was the only way to create that long wall section in one piece. There is also a Technic version with holes, but that would not have been suitable here. There is also some lighting integrated into the sides, and then the beautiful windows can finally be installed. These are really the main eye-catchers of the set. The stickers are not applied perfectly, so that is something I may look at replacing later. The additional red plates on the roof are a nice touch, as they help to maintain that Italian atmosphere. By building vertically, while still creating a well-balanced structure, there is actually quite a lot of space left on the base plate. I do not want to be overly critical, as this clearly comes down to part count and budget constraints. That said, a small staircase in light old grey would have been a valuable addition, especially since grey is almost completely absent from the set. The same applies to blue, which only appears in a single minifigure torso. Introducing a small water feature could also have added an extra layer to the scene. What I do really like is the small outdoor terrace that has been created, complete with lighting. Attaching trans-clear bricks onto an arch element is something I had honestly never considered myself. Another strong point is the variety of vegetation. You get standard flowers, leaves in 2 different sizes, and even the classic palm tree, complete with the iconic parrot. It is only once all the minifigures are in place that you really realize how strong this set is and how much you actually got for the original retail price of €25. It may not stand out through complexity or rare parts, but it succeeds through composition. The balance between structure, atmosphere, and play value is very well judged, and everything fits naturally within the theme. The design choices are clear and efficient, with just enough variation to keep the build visually interesting, while still remaining accessible. Even the limitations, in terms of color use and interior space, are easy to understand when you consider the constraints of the time. What remains is a set with a strong identity, one that captures a specific moment in the evolution of town, where everyday life slowly became more present within the LEGO world. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see new videos about my collection every Sunday, subscribe to my channel. It is completely free. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.